Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to show 220 of the Fervent 4 show. Zach, how are you?
Hello. How about that right in?
Yeah.
Guess that's why they call it Sin City.
How's life treating you?
It's good. It's good. It's great. It's wonderful. Jean Jacket came out last week.
Yeah, that was fun. I was glad to make it down. Zach had I guess
a shindig.
your book tour kicked off last week.
Yep. I was asked some questions. I answered some questions. I don't think I offended everyone in the crowd, so that was great. It was worked out. Had a craft beverage for the first time in a long time. That was something new again. So that was delightful. You were there.
Made the appearance.
It was
fun.
Saw the vehicle. That was nice.
Yeah.
When I was walking down with a couple of individuals, they were like, "Oh, look at that thing! That thing is ridiculous." And I said, "Oh, that's Tim."
Oh, who were you walking out with?
Xavier,
you were walking.
Javier.
That's right.
Renee Dada. Maybe one other person.
Yeah. It's not that.
Then I got lost. I literally got lost in the garage.
Yeah, that's an easy one to get lost in.
I don't understand. I parked on floor 4. It said floor 4. I went to the elevator.
You have to go to 5, right?
I'm not sure. I walked down to 3, walked to 4, back to 5. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been here more than 2 hours. They towed my car. They didn't. I found it eventually. But
yeah, I think that we parked near you.
Yeah, because I recall you telling me you saw the Jeep.
Yeah.
What? I don't get that. Why do they say one number, but it's a different number?
I don't know. I just realized because the same thing happened to me the last event that I went to. We're talking about Virginia Beach Town Center.
The main garage right by the California Pizza Kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me, I did, so the time before I was there, it's never happened before. I'm kind of embarrassed to even talk about it, but like I had to search around for my vehicle for a while. And this was an afternoon.
I had the boxes of books too.
Yeah. So that's why, well, one thing, as you know, the Cybertruck is just something that stands out. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's easy to spot in the parking garage. Just look down.
Is there a width limit to a vehicle? There has to be. That's got to be the widest thing in the.
It fits in our garage. We don't keep it in the garage, but it fits in the garage.
That thing cannot be in the garage. It's too much of a luxury vehicle.
That's right. It needs to get rained on.
So, note to self: park on the street. I mean, that's.
Oh, at Virginia Beach, yeah.
That's what I normally do. I usually park right next to that Taco Bell, trying to get my 4th meal on. But
I didn't even know there was a Taco Bell.
Oh, yeah. And that Taco Bell, you just drive by it sometimes. It's like 30 deep of cars. People are hungry in Virginia Beach for a 4th meal. That's all I got to say. Ain't that right, Neal?
Yes, sir. Good morning. How are y'all?
Hey.
I'm great. Did you believe
Neal, are you
first you asked?
No, Neal, are you from Virginia Beach? Is that where do you reside?
Yes, sir. I'm born and raised.
Wow.
Well, I was born at my time, Norfolk Hospital, I think, was the only one around. The Virginia Beach one wasn't around. So born in Norfolk, but raised in Virginia Beach.
Do you frequent the Taco Bell in Virginia Beach that Zach's talking about?
I go past it a lot, and it's definitely what I assume you guys were talking about, how busy it was. So always busy. I skate a lot, so I had to, I know people need their food, so I know how it is. I just go on, and I don't want to get hit by the hungry person,
Exactly. Nothing like breaking your podcast cherry with a Taco Bell question. This is absolutely the way to go with it.
Thinking outside the bun, right?
Thank you guys for having me today.
Yeah.
Is that what they say?
That was your tagline for a while.
Slogans are I love slogans. They're so funny. That's all I got.
That's all you got. No. But yeah, Neal, welcome to the show. Appreciate you. It's interesting. We've met in person for the first time last week at Zach's event. And it was one of those things. It was, and I mean this in a good way. It was kind of an awkward conversation, but not in the sense that Neal was awkward, but it was like, it's one of those deals where I'm like, Neal's going to be on the show in the following week. So, I told him, and I was like, Neal, I was like, it's not that I don't necessarily want to talk to you, man, but I want to like kind of save some of this conversation for the show because I don't know anything about you. And I think to me, those are the better shows. At least I find them more.
That's literally just like me saying, hey, don't tell me about the thing we're talking about next week because I want to hear it live on the show. Even though the report is out, even though the information's out, I want to hear it from the people themselves. It's like I don't want to go in with any like studying. Just tell me in the flesh.
Yeah.
Because when we know someone well, or at least decent, I feel like it's different. But because we don't really know much about you and we didn't have deep conversations, I think it is better to wait, like you're having that first cup of coffee with someone here. So,
yeah.
Right.
And that's so a lot of people, if you're a first time listener, first time watcher, Fervent 4, so like a couple things. Dead giveaway if you've never watched the show before. And people are like, why do you call it the Fervent 4 show when there's only 2 of you? So like that tells me that you've never and you don't have to self-incriminate, Neal. I'm just saying that that's a giveaway for people when they ask me about it. The 4 and the Fervent 4 is the 4%. Only 4% of businesses hit the $1 million annual revenue mark. Our goal is to showcase companies that are on their way to hitting that 4%, share the lessons learned from those that have, so that other people can find that path quicker, smoother, and easier to hit that $1 million annual revenue mark. So, Neal, you have your own agency, if you will.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about it. How'd you get into it?
So for right now, I'm focused on helping people gain online presence if they need it for their brand. So that's going to fall underneath my website, nealfrazier.tech. And the main goal there is just to show how easy it is to almost do it yourself because of the tools we have nowadays. And it's really, if it's only going to be something as deep as making a website, gaining online presence just to show your brand, have some form of way to get contact and to show links of other places you post content like social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it might be. So this is something on the newer end. Beforehand, I was running a valet company called Valet Ninjas. That was something self-start. It lasted about a year, more like 9 months. I'd say like a year, just generalized. And right now that's on hold. We still have plans for events next year, but focused on the web development. I'm really passionate on this part of it. We as in me and whoever I can work with at the time, offer 2 free sites, maybe every 2 months. The last 2 sites we built for free. I helped and made a new friend, Chris Lex. He runs a company called All PC Repair, and they're IT network solutions company. I brought his site from an outdated PHP site to something more modern. We used a React framework, did that for him. And then also there's an author named TJ Scott. He has a company called Family Reunite Network. His site wasn't up. He was using WordPress. He wasn't keeping up with it. I reached out to him to put his site back up. We used React as well. So now they both have online presence. It's something that I'm trying to build on and, use as an example to show, like, if I can do this and teach these people and then get some feedback from them, it'll help get the ball rolling to show even more people like, hey, even if you don't use React, even if you don't want to do code, There's some website tools you can use. If you need help, there's plenty of outreach, not just me or anyone that I'm posting. There's whole communities that will help you along the way, and it's not that scary. An analogy I could kind of put in place that has a little fallacy in it, but because some people enjoy jumping in cold water, but the majority, that initial feeling before you jump in the cold water, you're like, I can't do it. But once you're in, you're like, okay, cool.
Zach, do you
so
agree
for
with
the
this?
next time you're on it.
Well, I haven't been talking about this in a while, right?
Well, so are we still cold plunging, or is it too hard to keep water cold?
Can't keep the water cold. It's like 95 degrees right now. Okay. Like, I don't want to talk about it. Pisses me off.
Have you tried the James Bond shower?
Well, I don't know what that is, but okay. I have recently decided that I miss the ice plunges so much that I start taking cold showers.
But you even the cold water in a shower is not that cold. Yeah.
Not right now. Yeah. So I think maybe mid-October I'll be able to do it again. But dude, I would buy I thought I did some pretty wild things to try and keep this thing cold. We're not close. 4-gallon jugs of water frozen, 2 degrees lower. So it went from 88 to 86. It's like, come on, man. It's ridiculous. No, yes, I know. I could buy an $8,000 bathtub that has, the thing that. No, I'm not doing that. Like, that's obnoxious. But yeah, I don't know. Did you guys talk about the valet business on Thursday last week, Tim?
Did I what?
Did you and Neal talk? Okay. So. I mean, talk about like prototyping a business or just doing it because you get a contract to do it. Like, it's a pretty interesting story. Can you walk us through kind of the genesis of how that happened? Because people talk about needing to have a polished business and to have all this stuff that's just like, cross the T's, dot the I's. Like, no, get a contract, figure it out then is basically happening. But Neal, walk us through it.
Okay. And before I start, for anyone that's watching, this story will develop more about how I am leading to a journey of learning more and putting some of this business side more on the side and just making it to just help people. And, I just wanted to put that out there. So maybe it helps understand some context while I talk. For the valet company, I was working for a company as a valet for a while. I loved it. And you get to talk to people. You don't know who you're going to meet. And when you do meet the right person, you're like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. I learned.
Real quick, do the valet people, do you ever Ferris Bueller these vehicles or do you take good care of them?
Good question, because that's a common question from random people who aren't valeting while you are valeting, especially at the oceanfront, like tourists. Ferris Bueller? Have you watched that?
Bueller?
Have you watched
Bueller? So isn't that the dude from American Pie, the dad?
Yeah.
And Schitt's Creek? Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Bueller?
But do you joyride? I don't think you can necessarily joyride, but do you take good care of them?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And this is what's silly to me about coming from someone that runs a valet company. I will say valet is a silly thing to have. It will prevent some things, but in the long run, it is silly. You should just really have someone that directs people where to park. They already drove all the way. They have a license. They know how to drive. If they don't want to park, then that should be the option. There are a lot of parking lots that are very controlled. And what I'm getting to is most of the time, the valet parking lot is right in front of the business, if not right around the corner. So your question would be more leaning towards a bigger city with valets parking in parking garages. Like Town Center has a valet spot over there, and they park cars. They have one little lane, but the majority of the cars get parked in that public garage. So it is kind of when you get that ticket, there's that fine print. There's a whole loophole on it. You're responsible on a part note, right?
Yeah.
These companies that run valet lots, you have to have insurance. There's multiple insurances you have to have. Going from general liability, which is the basic one for most businesses. And then there's the garage keeper and other type of insurance is dealing with vehicles like theft and other stuff. And it's really not as expensive, going to your part, Zach, to pay. When I was paying insurance, it was only about $200 a month, and it had up to $3 million coverage for 3 different lots. So it's, to put the money in, it's worth it. And I, knock on wood, Valet Ninjas, no accidents, 100% satisfactory, while we were only mainly at one location, and we've done a couple other events. I know that brings down the risk assessment, but so if you do go into your question, Tim, it depends who's driving. It depends on their experience, right? So that question has a lot of variables to it. I have now, going to Zach's part on how I started it, it comes down to your question. I watched a valet in an open lot, the first car. Now, there was already a car parked there, and the first car that came in, he wanted to drive it. It was a big F-350. He backed it into the only car in the lot. So that just goes to show, like,
so you guys, amongst the different valets, you guys jockey about, hey man, I want to take this thing for a spin. Yeah, the little jockeying going on.
So I haven't personally seen a valet go do that, because it is kind of like, usually it's busy, right? Like, if you're at an oceanfront spot, there's people, you would have to be out of your mind to think no one's going to see you do that, right?
Yeah.
But now there are customers that will tell you, hey, like, you can go get some food. You need to drive.
No way.
You need to go.
Are you serious?
Oh, for sure. Oh yeah.
See, like,
they have to have that relationship with you, though, right? If they know, hey, this is like my best friend or my best friend's son, or this is even like my son, or just someone I really trust, like, they know who I am. We have enough exchange of interaction, then it's love. And it's like, maybe it's really jokingly, they don't want you to go 120 miles per hour in the interstate doing the what do they call it, swimming, where they're like bobbing and weaving out of traffic. But if you needed to use it to go somewhere, then because how many times,
I guess where I'm going,
it's a service industry thing, right? So it's expressive.
So I guess where I'm going with all this, man, and so we hinted at the beginning of the show, and I've been pretty quiet about it. I took delivery of my Cybertruck, and I'm not necessarily ready to, like, hey man, valet that thing, because that thing gets almost too much attention as it is right now.
So, and I'm not. Here's the pointer for you. If you have enough, I would say $20, right? If you have, I'm not saying you can't go higher or you can't go lower, but a good golden ticket, if you have $20 and you see an open spot right up front in the valet, and it's, a town center is a $8 fee. So I'm saying like a $20 tip, right? Something the valet can, $20, boom, right? Most of the time I would say at town center, those type of clients are, I'm going to give you the facts, $50 to $100 for a tip. That's how they come in, and it's random. It's not all the time, but you will get those people, and they use this tactic to make sure, hey, you're not driving my car. I'm putting it right there. I'm going to follow your rules. You watch my car. Here's some money. And that's how it works, right?
So that, man, we're getting some good inside stuff here, Zach.
Yeah.
What a waste of cash.
Yeah, it's so silly, but it's almost like, I don't drink alcohol, right? I'm not a big, I did in high school, right? Illegally, plead the fifth, sorry. But I never really liked it. So going to this point, if I have to go hang out at a bar and I'm asking for water, I'm going to tip the bartender for water. Like, I'm not going to that's the vibe. Like, I'm going to a capitalist restaurant bar where that's what it is. If I'm at a hippie commune, I would put in the work, like physical labor, and that's how it might get shared around. Not saying, like, take my advice with a grain of salt. This isn't always going to work, but with the valet, for sure. I'm just, a tip, if you needed to get in somewhere and you're like, man, I can't have this person drive it, but I want to use their service, it's still there. There's a way to go about it, right? And you just have to make that immediate, because the valet is already busy. For me, if I have a line of cars coming in, and then I have this whole introduction of something versus, hey man, I got 20-50 bucks, I need you to take care of my car right now. I can push you forward in the line, like, because it's going to be quick, one, and it helps me and my team out, right? Because that's why we're out there. Most valets only make. So here's another, going to Zach's. It is a waste of money to a degree, but valets usually only get paid off tips unless you're the owner and get the contract fee, right? So that is why it's kind of like that. There's usually not an hourly wage for valets. Sometimes there is, but that's not usually how it works. When I ran my valet company, I made sure I paid my guys $100 a day and they get tips. So that's just how I felt. I knew how to split the contract. And
how'd you come up with the idea to start your valet ninjas? Did you just thought it was an opportunity? You went to businesses to see if you could work out some sort of arrangement?
So going to the story about the guy backing up the truck into a car, I was. And I'm not going to mention any names just because.
No.
Right.
You have to mention names.
No,
I do.
Stories need names.
No,
I'm
not
not
an anonymous source.
No, companies. I'm not.
No, you don't need to throw it.
Yeah, next time we'll prepare the legal loopholes so I know exactly what to say, because I'm not very good at that. Right.
So we're gonna James Doe.
No, he's a good man. That's
I didn't say that, James Doe. You were a legend.
John Doe.
So with the parking lot story though, that was like the last straw for me to be like, man, I am tired of seeing bad valets and this company kind of not really care about the service, and I can take initiative and maybe ask the owner to be like, hey, now I'm stepping back, right, with the car hitting the car in the parking lot. Now that company was trying to get me to hide. They were like, hey, did anyone see it? And when I was getting these vibes after I'm reporting, like, right when I saw it, I stepped inside. I didn't even go to the valet. I'm like, that's a grown ass man that just hit the only car in the parking lot. And he was a cocky guy too, always yabbling, and not a horrible man, right? But certain things of personality traits will learn or will lean towards certain risk happening, especially with the valet company. You're dealing with someone's car, especially when it's a full lot, you have to be careful. But the fact that you hit the only car in the parking lot is crazy to me. So I go inside, I call the owner, report it, and the first thing they ask me is, did anyone see it? Like, in my head, I'm like, I'm reporting it so we can proceed on, like,
making it right.
Making it right. And so the dude that just hit the cars, cool, right? Because we're all supposed to be, for a valet company, when you get the insurance, right, that I mentioned, that $200 whatever a month covers all that liability in the parking lots, but it also allows you to get a copy of the ID license, driver's license, valid license, and they put it on file. So if anything happens, now it makes sense. Oh, so-and-so did this in the parking lot, because they're underneath that insurance. You don't necessarily have to keep paying each employee you put on there. So if you're running a valet company, all your employees should be underneath your insurance with no problem. There's no additional fee, right? All it takes is just the picture. And so when I make the phone call, I'm just thinking like, hey, like, I'm calling you to, proceed with this, call the insurance. Like, what do I need to do? Because this is almost my first time. Now, to give you a backstory later on, my first day as a valet was just a parking lot attendant. And the very first day I had a hit and run happen. I had to call the cops. And I'm going off of this experience. I'm thinking like, hey, they're about to solve this problem. Because that day, everything was solved. I was thanked for reporting it and everything. But then I realized that there's some shady stuff going on, because it's the employee now that's hitting the car, not just some random guy, right? So they called the police quick. They want me to call the police quick last time because it was a random guy, not their employee. And this time they're trying to cover it up. And I get it. Like, whatever, man. Like, you want to run your business a certain way, but that's not me, dude. Like, I'm trying to, now you're making me part of this, and I'm not trying to be associated with that. So, not to build the clock anymore and tell you the time, it leaned on that. And I just went to the owner. I reported it to him, and I was like, hey, if I get my LLC, my business license, my insurance, can I have this spot? He said, yeah, because he trusted me. The owner of that bar, and till this day, like we butt heads, and that's a little, not really, but on terms of getting a contract signed, we didn't come to an agreement. So that is unfortunately why I'm not there anymore. There's nothing against the place I was valeting at. So he trusted me. He knew I did a good job. He knew that customers were coming in, and anytime I worked there, he was thankful. He was like, man, I love it every time you're there. So I knew that relationship, and I just took advantage of this opportunity, not to be like a snake out of the grass, but I knew, why not? And he said yes, and I did it in 3 days. So I did have help with someone else, not naming anything. Unfortunately, that partnership was very a short-term thing. So it ended up just being myself running it, having a person from the company I was working for. I'll mention his name, Justin Strohecker. Very wonderful man. He works at a Subaru garage. Unfortunately, I can't tell you the name of it right now. It's out in Greenbrier. He is like master pro rebuilding engines. Also one of the best employees
Neal, the
I
Mr.
ever
Neal
had.
Frazier.
Yeah. So shout out to Justin. He helped me out. He couldn't do it at first because, he had to, be nice to the company he's at. And I was like, I respect that, man. Yeah, keep that relationship. Even though, now that company definitely probably wouldn't, I wouldn't say wouldn't hire me back, but wouldn't necessarily want to be involved with me because now I'm another company, right? It's just how it goes.
How'd you make the jump then to tech? Are you self-taught, or did you?
Okay. So with the tech, going back to middle school, I grew up with some friends, really good friends, Corey, Josh. Shout out to them. Josh flies some planes and for the Navy, and Corey teaches some school. I haven't talked to him in a minute, but Corey downloaded NetTools, which is some old cybersecurity software package, and we used to, we didn't know what the hell we were doing, but we were just run some stuff, and eventually led more to just playing video games. Call of Duty 4 was our shit. And we learned how to set up a capture card to start recording off the Xbox, and made some videos. And we started making a lot of videos when YouTube first came out, and a lot of them were kind of inappropriate, influenced by Dave Chappelle at the time. And our parents made us take them down. Unfortunately, I promise those things would have had like billions of views. They were inappropriate, but they were funny.
You're ahead of your time, man. You're too early. It's almost as bad as being too late.
So, and then going into high school, there was an opportunity to take computer programming, which it was all right. You use a program called Alice, and it's like basic Java. It's an interactive, like really bad graphic 3D simulation, but you learn functions and other stuff. I honestly it just seemed like I was cheating. The answers were right there, so I didn't really learn much. Because after you're done, you just play games on the computer and just learn how to navigate, basically. Whether it's you're watching videos or playing games. And then the later part of high school, there's a program called ATC. It's like along with Votech. So you would go to the Advanced Technology Center at TCC and be able to take a course there, which would take up 2 blocks of your day. I was taking CCNA. Shout out Mr. Nelson. He's a great professor over there. And that's dealing with setting up switches and hubs and modems, routers. I think that's basic C language we were doing over there. But after that, not really, unfortunately, but I started smoking weed a lot and not really caring. I dropped out of TCC the second semester, just stopped showing up, and not really caring about that stuff. I like skating and just the street side of just the lifestyle, like not a grifter sense, but just being out there and just drifting around and being young and dumb, just, I guess, a regular human, young and dumb American type thing. And
gotta find your way.
Yeah. So,
nothing like taking a little puff on the Norfolk City flower,
So there was a long break starting from then to about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I got back into it. There's a program called Try Hack Me, and it starts very basic cybersecurity tutorials, and there's machines you can hack, and there's different software tools revolving more around Linux, and you use those to pen test these certain programs. And then there's a lot of vocabulary courses where you're just learning terms and how certain management is handled. And I was on and off with that. There was a period I was homeless, and I reached out to Dwayne Appleton at JavaSurf. Shout out to Dwayne. He got me into the restaurant business, and within a year I was, kitchen manager there. And we got that little store from 25th Street to now he's at 19th and Mediterranean Avenue. Cool little spot, and they do panini sandwiches, coffee. It's that company has a good story to it because it's been JavaSurf from 3 different owners. So, in the beginning of it, R.I.P. Dwayne Duvall, he was a big surfer in the community, and he started it. And now it's with Dwayne Appleton. Shout out to him again. And that brought me to a point where I was understanding my work ethic meant a lot, and how that can be tied into almost anything that we go do. And from then to about 5 years ago, I was doing odd end jobs. Like I went from the kitchen manager to construction, which was pretty cool. Worked at houses on the Croatan beach line in the north end. So got to experience, just being in, those people that are like, you got to manifest it and then it'll come through. Like it wasn't that, but I'm standing in these multi-million-dollar houses. I'm like, dang, this is cool. I don't even have to own the house, and I'm here. Like, this is awesome. Rent free, baby. Like, while I'm getting paid.
I'm really hoping that the AI tool that you used, Tim, at the end to compile all the stuff. What's that called?
Podcast AI. Shout out to Podcast AI.
Damn it, Tim, that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna shout out them. This show should just be called the Shout Out. Because Neal Frazier has shouted out so many people. You're like, shout out to my man.
I'm trying to give the respect, man.
Shout out to Dwayne Appleton, to other Dwayne, to Dwayne The Rock Johnson. We're gonna. This is the shout out show.
Well, it's also showing how important it is to step back and recognize, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, Tim, shout out to you.
Going from construction, there's a break, and I was just chilling, floating, and
shout out to construction.
And I did this one company called Roadie. If anyone's out there looking for a new delivery app, I'd recommend going to Roadie. They're a pretty cool company. You just deliver merchandise. It's not food.
So last mile delivery for.
Yeah. So one of the gigs that I really liked.
How do you spell it?
ROADIE. And the sooner you apply, the better, because they just need to verify your license and then you're good to go. So, but it's mainly merchandise from AutoZone, Best Buy. There is a couple places you deliver cakes, but it's never really hot food. So, one of the gigs though, but yeah.
Have you seen that Grubhub and Amazon partnered? It's a lot cheaper. It's, I don't know. I feel like some of the, DoorDash is obnoxious. It is so expensive. Your normal $10 meal is now $450. And you're like, how?
What?
And then you still haven't even tipped. Yes, that's a Zach stat. That's not a real story, but it is obnoxious. It's crazy. It's so expensive. Anyway, I digress.
That's good. So with the Roadie, so that was just a little part of my life. It was fun. Got to drive. I was driving a 2000, not the V8, but the V6, and a not stick. It was automatic Camaro. So not that cool of a car, but cool to me. I loved it, and just did that for about 2 years. It was good money. It was, on my own time, experienced that. Don't really have a boss job and making some money. driving around, seeing different stuff. And I put about 80,000 miles, that not just from delivering. I put about 80,000 miles in a year. I was doing delivery, and then I was also traveling up to New Jersey to see my friend, and going to Washington D.C. for some events as well. So the car broke down, and I was like, dang, that was fun while it lasted. Let me fix it back up and sell it. And it took me a while to fix it back up. There is a broken head gasket or broken exhaust manifold bolt, like stuck, and it took me a while to get it out. Side note, but going on from that, I went to like floating around again, odd end jobs. Shout out to my friend Drew Fitchett. You ever need an electrician? His father's been running an electric company for a long time around here. They are the best people in the world, man. So I was doing side work with Drew, and that was great. It has to be, you have to get dirty, but it's fun. You learn some stuff.
Did you ever try out to be the Dos Equis man? I know you don't drink, but I mean, like, you are the most interesting man in the world. Like, you have done so many different oddball things, from a roadie to getting the screw out of that one car, to rolling deep into $2 million Corova houses, to the valet business, to now doing the tech stuff, to Twitch videos that were illegal back then, now maybe still
not illegal, inappropriate.
Yeah, inappropriate. And YouTube.
Well, I don't know, same thing to some.
Right.
This is wild. Like, do you like rolling around different things? Like, you're just like, okay, I'm bored. Like, what's the craziest ADD in the world? Like, what's...
So it's kind of like, have you ever read the book Siddhartha?
Never even heard of it.
Okay.
Well,
it's about what was that?
No, keep on going, Neal. You're just finish that thought, and then
okay. So Siddhartha is about essentially like Buddha, right? Because that's Buddha's name, and in a sense, right? And it's just about this boy who's going from village to village because he's going in a sense of trying to find the purpose. But he's not realizing that he could have found it where he started at, right? So I could have stayed at that one job at JavaSurf, but I was stubborn. Not saying like it was all my fault or like I made the wrong decision or the right decision. It's, in a sense, I could have stayed there and, found some purpose that I found till this day. But from going to place, I just enjoy learning stuff. And I mean, it's a good question. You got me stuck right now because I'm trying to think. Like, I think it revolves around, I was focusing on money too much, and with money being a purpose, if that makes sense, and then chasing that while trying to maintain my personality, it does lead to that type of, not bad blindness, but it kind of makes you veer away sometimes to want to go somewhere else because where you're at doesn't feel the same, like that spark's not there anymore, or you just feel like it's your time to go.
So is that what led to the lifestyle that you've been living in the last 5 years?
So the last 5 years, I've been trying to dial in on, hey, I can use my brain that I've always had, that I can, with math or anything dealing with just, I guess, tech in general, and use that to help a company or use that to find a role and really dig deep to see why I'm doing stuff. I had a very fortunate event of having a meeting with Walter O'Brien, and he is one of the highest recorded IQ people in the world. He has a show called Scorpion. They run a Scorpion's services, and it's a group of like the highest IQ people around the world, plus the highest EQ people around the world, and they solve problems. They're like a higher think tank, like a think tank for hire type deal. So if you got a problem, they're going to solve it the best way like possible. They also are recognized for helping find the Boston bombers with their algorithm of it dialed down to who wasn't moving and who was moving in certain video scenarios. There's a whole, I can't explain it as good as the video on YouTube or wherever it might be now. But there is a podcast or video about the breakdown of how they caught those people. Right. And so going to him, yeah, I take everyone's advice whole. I'm like a sponge, and but I still am me, and I need to make a decision for myself. So when I'm on this meeting with him, he's given me the opportunity to ask questions, mainly because I reached out to him and asked if there was anything I could do. I was really influenced by his show, and I looked into him, and I was like, dude, this is crazy. This, if you haven't watched the show, it's a great story, like crime, drama, Law and Order vibes. And then he has a great story as well. And he gave me an opportunity to do some research for him and his web development team. And they needed to find some type of platform to run a social media for with these, etc. requirements. And I gave him a list, and I failed a little bit because he was expecting a lot more. All I did was I gave him like a very nice set paragraph with explanations of each one and the pros and cons of each one that I found that would fit for their project. And he was expecting like data visualization and a pitch deck type thing. And I was like, dang, I should have done that. So I was humbled by that. And they ended up using one of the things they haven't heard before, which was, it's crazy to think about that I was in a position where I was definitely underqualified. I was out of my reach, but I still went for it. And it worked out in a sense. I'm not saying like I made something really happen, but they chose something off my research.
That's the key to life, though. Raise your hand when you see in whole.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot on the show.
He was thankful for that and gave me an opportunity for a video meet. So we had a Zoom call, and I was able to ask him some questions, and he got me to answer, like, I'm stuck on your question about like what made me kind of go around to each job and why was I floating and and why am I here doing what I'm doing now. He asked me what my purpose was, and at the time I thought I kind of knew, but I kept giving him my goals. He was like, no, this is a goal, and we're talking about it. I'm like, no, like that's my purpose. He's like, no, it's a goal, and it started making sense. I'm like, and I'm also trying to take the advice without like completely changing how I think, right? Because I'm me and I should make my decisions. I shouldn't just take advice from someone just because they have this high IQ. I don't know them, So, and they don't know me as well. We have these models of each other that we're trying to understand. But he's really being wholeheartedly telling me like, no, like you need to find your purpose. Like,
did you figure it out? What's your purpose?
Oh, so I'm concluding that right now, if I just keep it at like my purpose is as a human to use my brain, my intelligence to advance on certain things, right? And to create tools that can further advancement. And that correlates with technology or science. So I'm leaning back into that. And that's kind of the reason why I'm still out here helping people. Like if you need a website or whatever, I'm here to help. And if you need knowledge or just someone to talk to about where to learn stuff, I'm here to help. But I'm also trying to venture in. I need to learn more, and I need to be contributing more to platforms or tools I've been using. So later on, that might make a difference. So with that in mind, anywhere I'm going, that's kind of my purpose. If I keep it like that, I don't have to question too much of why am I here. Sometimes you do have to step back and remind yourself, look in the mirror maybe, and talk to other people like right now. I'm learning so much just you asking me to talk. Like I'm going to look back at this and be like, dang.
What would your purpose be, Tim? Because I don't know how I would answer that.
I know I'm trying to like really listen to what Neal's talking about, and at the same time, I'm like, man, I wonder if I'm confusing purpose and goals. I don't know. I'm gonna have to reflect on that for a little while.
Yeah. So the idea of it is like, okay, so one of my answers to Mr. O'Brien was, yeah, my purpose, I think one day I just want to live on the beach. I'm a fruitarian. I mainly eat fruits. So to be on a beach in like the equator area where there's an abundance of mangoes and
What
coconut,
is
that's like my
is
dream.
mango your number one fruit?
Oh yeah. I love mangoes. Mangoes are so
They
good.
are
A
good.
very ripe mango. Oh man. That
You
is
like
my
a mango,
thing.
Tim?
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I wish that I would have learned to appreciate them earlier. Because so I went to business school at William and Mary, Neal, and maybe
Okay.
you can help me out with this. But so part of our international residency, we went to India, and we were in India for 2 weeks, and apparently there's some very rare mango that's only ripe for like in season for like 2 weeks, and apparently like it's such a rarity thing that like President Bush or something with when he was in office would like they would fly these mangoes from India
Dang.
to him, and here we are, I was like, I guess I'll give it a try, but I wish I would have paid attention to it more, because I didn't appreciate it at the time. But
Yeah. Mangoes are good, man. I do like a seeded watermelon because of how much you get out of it and the price of it, and I love you
what's
can
your
make
favorite fruit, Zach?
We're on
what's your
watermelon
fruit?
5 of the year right now, by the way.
Mm.
About to get the 6th one today.
Nice.
Favorite fruit? Good question. I'm not sure.
Dude, man, a nice bowl of grapes, dude. Green grapes, man.
No.
Kill
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Strawberries.
You like the
maybe
seeded grapes, the ones with the big
No, I
seeds?
don't. No,
Okay.
maybe cherries.
dude. Yeah, I can go through some cherries.
Nothing like a good cherry.
What?
Fruit is awesome, man. It's like one of the best foods.
What is?
And my fruit, I'm saying fruit
yeah.
is just
Yeah,
awesome.
Fruit
dude. I
life.
could. Yeah.
We've been eating a lot of watermelon. Hated bananas growing up. When I take the goose, it's a salted watermelon.
Oh, is it?
Flavor? Yeah, that was the one that I always liked the most. I do not salt my watermelon though. Sorry, not sorry. Some people salt their pizza. Salt their pizzas. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what's the matter with you?
No.
Strawberries, great. Blueberries, great.
Oh yeah, blueberries.
Mangoes, great. Favorite jelly for me, red raspberry. Shout out to the red raspberry. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. So we need more shout outs. I love a good shout out.
Dude, we just finished up with some homemade strawberry jam.
Oh.
With the purpose though, like so
tomatoes are fruits?
Yeah, they're berries. Yeah, it's a berry. It's related. It's in the same family as persimmons. That fruit that
I'm a persimmon myself out of this conversation because I don't believe that.
Oh yeah, it is.
All right.
So when I answered him about being on a beach, and he asked me, what's your purpose? And I was like, well, I want to get to this point where I can, help my mom out because she's always been there for me. Single mom, raised 3 kids. Like, why wouldn't I? And, be able to support her and to be able to stay on this beach. I just imagine myself on this beach where there's abundance of fruit and I can like have my computer and just help people. And he's like, that's a goal, like, and I'm sitting back. I'm like, dang, like he kind of just shitted on me a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, you're right. That is a goal. If I can calculate how I can go do that, that's a goal. If I'm being asked what my purpose is, it's not calculated. It's something that's like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I know that sounds a little cliche and maybe a little corny, but you can't really. It's already here. You don't need to calculate it. Like it's.
Yeah, I'm always really. I don't know what the word is, but when when you see people that know what their purpose is, it's like, man, that mad respect. Or people that know what that true talent is,
right?
And if they figure it out early, I don't know.
What is your true talent?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Same.
I'm running out of time.
Yeah, that's
funny that you said running out of time there. Mr. Running Man.
Neal, I have to ask.
Okay.
And so like, dude, my head's been spinning this whole show, man, because you've taken us on this journey. It's been fun.
Well, thank you. I try not to get off topic, but it was a track, and it's still going, and I'm trying to make it more of a instead of just.
Well, I'm trying to like figure out. So like part of this, I'm reading this sentence on this on our notes, and it's saying that you've also knocked out the same tooth multiple times, and I'm just trying to like figure out
that's
like
a good one.
What part of this journey did you knock it out? I'm like, did he do it when he was skateboarding multiple times? I don't know. I mean, like maybe you bit into a seeded watermelon, and I don't know. But how did this poor right front tooth? Yeah,
that's close. So when I was 3 years old, I was running in front of the house on the sidewalk, and I tripped over my shoelace. And I slammed and then knocked the tooth out. I was a baby.
I don't know why I asked this question, because the thought of like getting teeth knocked out, man, it just gives me the heebie-jeebies, and I just don't do well with it.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm here, and everything's okay. So that happened, and of course my parents brought me to the dentist. And when they bring you in and you have a tooth knocking out, it's not like 100% of the time that whole tooth is knocked out. So what they're supposed to do is dig out the rest and make sure it's clear. I guess that prevents infection. I don't know. I'm not super well informed on this. I just know that is a procedure. If you're coming in because your tooth got knocked out, they're going to make sure the remaining of that root and whatever is going to be pulled out as well. So they didn't do that. And when I grew up to about 8 years old, the adult tooth was coming in, and it was pushing out the remaining of that baby tooth that wasn't, pulled out when I knocked it out previously. And I was with my dad at the Princess Anne Park near the amphitheater in the Sportsplex, that big park that's been there for a long time. And I was chasing the damn squirrel, and I was running, and there's a lot of trees there, and a lot of their roots are by the trunk are coming out of the ground. And I tripped over a root, and how it was growing out, I hit it perfectly on the edge of a picnic table. So it was unfortunate because it hurt, but it knocked it out. I didn't have to go to the dentist. It just knocked it out. So that was the second time. And then the third time was, I was about 21, and I was skating with my friends, including Ricky. And I was doing there was a parking spot with a parking curb. And the performance trick of the day was I was supposed to manual, which is a wheelie. I was supposed to manual the parking lot size while going around the curb and then coming back to finish it off. And it was a tight spot. When you're skating street, it's all about how you express yourself and what you can make out of it. So we were having fun, and I made it around the curb, and I hit a crack, and I went straight into a curb. And it was that is one of the most agonizing things I've ever dealt with. This tooth that I have right here that's chipped, it was actually up here, and I pulled it down. And when I went to the dentist, I only had one tooth that was fully knocked out. And when I went to the dentist, they were like, hey, I mean, it's strong. Do you want to leave it in there? It's like, yeah, sure. So it's been fine. That day, you could ask all the people that were there. I was mad. I was like, beep, skateboarding. I'm never doing this again. But I'm glad I didn't do that, because that's like, I love skateboarding. So I do it. Unfortunately, this past month has just been rain, so I haven't been out too much. I like to go to Mount Trashmore, skateboard. I love flying. That's where I'm at right now, flying, going in the air. It's a great time to just, let loose. That's how I let
Can
loose.
Anyone skateboard there? Can you just roll up in there?
You can skateboard, scooter, rollerblade, bike. You can hang out. Just don't like, if you see someone skating like and they're going fast and doing some crazy stuff, just don't stand in the way. It's almost like standing in the middle of the road while cars are driving, right? But if you want to stand on the sidewalk by the road, yeah. If you want to come in the skate park, hang out, and try a board, I'm pretty sure one of us would be like, hey, yeah, you can use the board. Go for it.
Who's the best skater of all time?
Is that even a
Rodney
question?
Mullen?
What?
Rodney Mullen, for sure.
Man, this ain't right.
Rodney Mullen. I guess I've been out of the game for so long.
Now, if you're going to ask the best current skater, like that's alive and well and doing stuff for the community, and this guy, like, wow, Mitchie Brusco. He has a platform called Skate IQ, and if you have time and you watch how he teaches these kids and how he's putting in so much time to really develop the science of skateboarding for the later on, that's the purpose that I'm trying to get with what I'm doing. Like, hey, let's get together. Whoever might be doing this, you know, we can do this together. That's kind of what I was doing for the Neal Frazier Tech when it comes to promoting online presence and helping people with the sites. It's like, hey, like with the right, you know, this is here. I'm not there yet, and that's why I'm going back to, I need to get back in and learn more and dial in on a path of education and surrounding myself with people who can help me with saying like, hey, no, yeah, and just going off some type of experience level instead of only going around myself. Because that's the unfortunate thing I would say out to people with businesses. If you're only by yourself, you're going off of that. If you want to expand, you're going to have to read some books from, you know, people that experienced life, that lived a whole life just to write a book, and now they're dead. Now you get to always read that book and talk to them, and or reaching out to like Zach. That last event that I went to, that thing was awesome. Like going out to events like that and just talking to people, and then doing a podcast like this, just expanding, and then taking that with what you can.
Yeah, I love the chances that you take on life. Just even walking up and introducing yourself to me, I thought last week at Zach's event, that was great. You just sending out a cold email asking to be on the show. Good stuff. I dig it. And now getting to learn more about you, I agree with Zach. You're like the Dos Equis, man. Like, you're like the guy. I think that you represent Virginia Beach.
Would it be okay? I have these two books. They're like daily books. You're supposed to kind of read a page a day, so it's not long. One is called The Daily Stoic, and one is called The Daily Laws. One Daily Stoic is by Ryan Holiday, and The Daily Laws is by Robert E. Greene. I haven't opened them up in a minute, but they have helped me in my journey. And if it's okay with y'all, I'd like to go to I haven't read it yet, haven't seen it. I would like to go to the day that we're supposed to read of the book. Maybe it would take 30 seconds per page.
We got 30 seconds left, period. So, yeah, you can do one of them.
All right. I'll do The Daily Stoic.
Okay, Ryan Holiday, shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Ryan Holiday.
I've read one of his books. It was pretty good. It might be that one.
Oh, this one's like very short, so you can't really see I guess.
Let's do it.
All right, so the title is What's on Your Tombstone? This quote is by Seneca on the brevity of life. When you see someone often flashing their rank or position, or someone whose name is often handed or bandied about in public, don't be envious. Such things are bought at the expense of life. Some die on the first rungs of the ladder of success, others before they can reach the top, and the few that make it to the top of their ambition through 1,000 indignities realize at the end it's only for an inscription on their gravestone. Now, that's how it starts. That's the quote of the page. And now we're going to go to Ryan Holiday's and Stephen Hanselman's description of this. Sometimes our professional commitments can become an end unto themselves. A politician might justify the neglect of his family for his office, or a writer might believe her genius excuses antisocial or selfish behavior. Anyone with some perspective can see that. In fact, the politician is really just in love with fame, and the writer enjoys being condescending and feeling superior. Workaholics always make excuses for their selfishness. While these attitudes can lead to impressive accomplishments, their cost is rarely justified. The ability to work hard and long is admirable, but you are a human being, not a human doing. Seneca points out that we're not animals. Is it really so pleasant to die in harness? He asked. Alexander Solzhenitsyn put it better. Work is what horses die of. Everybody should know that. That's the page. And this book has helped me a lot just to kind of step back and like reset. And then the other one I mentioned is the same style, but it's by Robert E. Greene, revolving around more of human nature, not necessarily stoicism and philosophy. So
there you
I
go.
thought I'd like to share that.
I dig.
Neal Frazier, first ever book read on the show, episode 220. There it is. Looking forward to many more conversations in the future. Tim, great to
thanks,
see
Neal.
you. Neal,
Yes,
thanks
sir.
for being
Thank you,
here.
guys.
Podcast 1 in your life done. See y'all soon.
Peace.
Shout out to you viewers watching the show.